When we receive these experiences, we always promise to share them exactly the way we received them. We do not change anything. We do not add anything. We do not take anything away. That is the commitment we made from the very beginning, and we are going to keep that commitment, no matter how heavy the message is, no matter how disturbing what is revealed, no matter how hard it is to say out loud. Just like every other experience we have shared here, we are giving you this one exactly the way it came to us. Please start getting yourself ready. Please start getting your family ready. For some of you watching this right now, the preparation needs to start tonight. Not tomorrow, not next week. Tonight. Look at where you are. Look at what you have. Look at the people around you and begin having the conversations that need to happen. For some of you, the Lord is specifically calling you to begin moving toward the safe areas that Jesus revealed in this experience. Do not delay that. Do not let comfort make that decision for you. We want to stay connected with you. We want to keep praying with you and for you. Please drop a comment and tell us where you are watching from so that we can continue to pray specifically for your city, your country, your family. We are one family in this, and we do not want anyone watching this to feel like they are alone in what they are processing right now. Please also drop a word of prayer in the comments for the locations of everyone gathered here. I will begin sharing today's experience. I need to tell you something, and I need you to stay with me, because this is not easy for me to say out loud. I have been sitting with this for weeks now. I have been trying to find the right words. I have been scared that people will laugh at me, or call me crazy, or tell me I was just dreaming. But I cannot stay quiet anymore. Not when I know what I know. Not when I saw what I saw. Not when I still wake up at 3 in the morning shaking and crying and seeing those pictures in my head like they are happening right now, in front of my eyes. My name is Diana Lawson. I am 38 years old. I am a registered nurse, and I have been working at a federal government health facility in the Washington, D.C. area for the last 6 years. I have worked night shifts. I have worked double shifts. I have held people's hands when they were dying. I have stayed calm in emergencies when everything around me was falling apart. I am not the kind of person who makes up stories. I am not the kind of person who chases attention. I have a daughter. I have a mother who depends on me. I have a life that I am responsible for, and it is because of all of that, because of the people I love, that I am choosing to speak even though it terrifies me. On February 3rd, 2026, I died. Not in a movie way, not in the sleep and dream way. I died for 19 minutes inside the government facility where I work. It started like any other Tuesday. I came in early for my shift because we had a new intake of patients coming in from a federal transfer, and I wanted to make sure the intake area was ready. I was going down the back corridor near the medication storage room when something happened to my heart. I did not feel any pain at first. I just felt like someone had turned off a switch inside my chest. My legs went weak, and I hit the floor before I could even reach the wall to grab onto anything. One of the security guards found me about 4 minutes later. By the time the medical team got to me, my heart had stopped completely. They worked on me in that hallway. I was told later that it took them over 11 minutes to get my heart going again. And during those 19 minutes, I was not in that hallway. I was not in that building. I was somewhere else entirely. And what I saw there, I cannot shake it. I cannot explain it. I cannot make it go away. I have prayed about it. I have cried about it. I've talked to my pastor about it. And every single time I close my eyes, it is still there. Every city, every date, every face, every disaster, still there. I want to tell you what happened, and I want you to please not close this until you have heard everything, because I believe with everything in me that there are people watching this right now who are in the exact places I am about to describe, and those people need to hear this. Please. When my eyes opened in that other place, the first thing I noticed was that I was still in my scrubs. I still had my hospital badge clipped to my pocket. I still had the pen tucked into my chest pocket that I always carry. But I was not in the facility. I was standing somewhere that I cannot fully describe without it sounding strange. The ground was solid, but it looked almost like it was made of very thick, clear glass, and underneath it, there was light moving slowly. the way light moves underwater when you look at the sun from below the surface. Everything around me was quiet, but not empty. It was like a quiet that had weight to it, a full kind of quiet. I looked around and I saw a figure walking toward me, and I want to be careful here because I do not want to say things I am not sure about. But the moment this figure got closer, something happened inside me, not in my head, in my chest, in my stomach, in my hands. Something recognized who this was before my brain even caught up. And when he said my name, I started crying. Not because I was afraid, because it felt like hearing your name from someone who has known you your whole life and has been waiting for you. That is the only way I can describe it. Diana, he said, you have spent years taking care of people that the world forgot, people that most people look away from. I have seen every night you stayed late, every patient you prayed over quietly when no one was watching. Now I need you to carry something heavier than any of that. He did not waste time. He showed me what was coming, and I am going to tell you exactly what he showed me, in the order that he showed it to me, with the dates he gave me and the cities he named and the things he said about each one. I am not going to add anything extra. I am not going to dress it up. I am just going to tell you what I saw. The first thing that appeared in front of me was a city. I knew it immediately. I had been to Houston once for a nursing conference, and I recognized the layout, the highways, the downtown buildings, the flat land stretching out in every direction. Houston, Texas appeared below us like we were looking at it from very high up in the sky. Not like a map, like we were actually there, hovering above it, seeing every street, every neighborhood, every person going about their day without knowing what was about to happen to them. Watch, he said to me, and I watched. The water came first, not from a hurricane, not from a storm that gave people warning. What I saw looked like the ground itself stopped being able to hold the water back. The bayou swelled past any level I had ever seen in news footage of Houston floods. But this was different, because it was not just coming from one direction. It was coming from underneath, too. The soil itself was saturated beyond what it could hold. The rain that had been falling for days before this event, rain that on its own would have been manageable, combined with something that was happening deeper in the ground. And the result was that entire sections of the city just went under. April 18th, he said. That is the date it begins. Not just flooding from above. The ground itself will fail in certain areas. Foundations will give way. Whole subdivisions will sink. The storm drainage system, which was already stretched beyond what it was built for, will stop working completely within the first 5 hours. And after that, the water will have nowhere to go except through people's homes, through hospitals, through the roads that emergency vehicles need to use. I watched people standing on their rooftops. I watched cars floating down streets that I recognized from my conference visit. I watched a hospital, a big one, start to lose power as its lower levels flooded. And the patients inside that hospital, the ones who could not walk, the ones who were on machines, they had nowhere to go. Why Houston, I asked. Why this city? He did not answer the way I expected. He said, this city has been warned before. It has flooded before. The people know it can happen, and yet the systems that were supposed to be fixed were never fixed. The leaders knew and looked the other way, and the people trusted that someone else was handling it. That trust is misplaced. When this comes, the systems will not hold. He told me that the people who need to leave are not just the people in flood zones. He said the entire city's ability to function will collapse within 72 hours of the flooding starting, because every system inside a modern city depends on every other system. When the roads go, supplies stop moving. When supplies stop moving, stores go empty. When stores go empty and power is out and water is undrinkable, the city becomes a place where staying is more dangerous than leaving ever was. Before April 18th, he said, those who hear this and have the ability to move should go, not to neighboring cities that will face their own pressures. Inland, higher ground, places that do not depend on the same broken infrastructure. The vision of Houston faded and the next one came. I knew this one too. I have never lived in Miami, but I have seen it enough times to know the shape of it, the water on both sides, the beaches, the way the buildings line up along the coast. Miami, Florida appeared below us, and even before he said anything, I could feel that what was coming here was going to be different from Houston. He said, "What happens here is not just water from above or water from the ground. This is water from the ocean, and it will not behave the way people expect it to behave." He showed me a date, May 29th. He said that what strikes Miami on that date is not a traditional hurricane path. It is a surge event tied to conditions building far out in the Atlantic that current tracking systems will not identify as a major threat until it is already too late for organized evacuation. The surge will push water inland faster than most people can drive to safety. Parts of Miami Beach will be underwater before the first emergency alert goes out. I watched it happen. The ocean just kept coming. It did not stop at the shore the way it is supposed to. It pushed through streets. It filled parking structures from the ground floor up. It entered buildings through doors and windows and HVAC systems. And it kept rising. Slowly, but with total certainty. The way something rises when there is nothing at all stopping it. He told me that the issue in Miami was not that people were not aware of the risk. The issue was that people always believed they would have more warning than they got. People always believed they would have time to grab their things and drive north. But when the roads north are already jammed with 3 million people trying to leave at the same time, and the surge is moving faster than the traffic, there is no good outcome for the people at the back of that line. 2 to 3 weeks before May 29th, he said, people who are listening need to already be out, not packed and ready to leave, already gone, already settled somewhere else, because the window for leaving safely will close earlier than anyone expects. I was shaking by this point, not from cold, from the weight of what I was seeing. I kept wanting to ask him if there was a way to stop it, a way to change it, a way to warn enough people that the outcome would be different. And he let me ask. He always let me finish my thoughts before he answered. He said, some of it can be changed at the individual level. A family that leaves in March is a family that lives. I am not showing you this so that you feel helpless. I am showing you this so that the people who are meant to hear it will have time to act. The third city came next. This one surprised me more than the others, because it is not a coastal city, and it is not in a traditionally high-risk zone for the kind of thing I saw. Phoenix, Arizona appeared below us, flat, dry, enormous, spreading out across the desert in every direction. I have a cousin who lived in Phoenix for a few years, and I have seen pictures. I recognize the grid of streets, the mountains in the distance, the brownness of everything. He said, what comes to this city is not water. It is heat and the end of the systems that protect people from it. He showed me August 11th. He said that on that date a combination of things happens that removes Phoenix's ability to function as a city. The power grid in that region, already under extreme stress from heat demand in the weeks leading up to it, experiences a cascading failure that is not a simple outage. It is a failure of components that cannot be quickly replaced, because those components are made in other places, and by August, the supply chains that normally keep infrastructure running will already be badly damaged by what happened earlier in the year in other parts of the country. Without power in Phoenix in August, the temperature inside homes and buildings becomes dangerous within hours. Not uncomfortable. Dangerous. The kind of dangerous that kills elderly people and young children and anyone with health problems. And when the hospitals themselves lose reliable power and water, they cannot treat the people who are already sick from the heat. I watched the city trying to respond. I watched people go into cooling centers that quickly became overwhelmed. I watched emergency services stretched so thin that they had to make choices no one should have to make about who they could reach and who they could not. I watched people who had lived their whole lives in Phoenix, standing in their homes, not understanding that the thing protecting them from dying in that heat, the air conditioning, the refrigerated food, the clean water from the tap, all of it depended on systems that were now gone. A city built in a desert can survive when its systems work, he said to me. When those systems stop working, the desert reclaims it very quickly. He told me again that the issue was not a lack of warning about general risk. Arizonans know it is hot. They know the power can fail. But they trust that someone will fix it fast. They trust that the government will step in. He said that trust will not be warranted when this comes. because the scale of what is happening across the country at that point will make Phoenix one of many simultaneous emergencies, and the resources simply will not be there. People need to leave before summer, he said to me. Not in August, before summer, before the grid is already at the edge of failing, before the stores start running low, before everyone else figures out what is happening and the roads become impassable and the cost of moving doubles and triples because everyone is trying to do it at the same time. I want to stop here for a second and tell you something, because I know what you might be thinking. I know some of you are thinking this woman is emotional. This woman had a health scare, and it affected her mind. This woman is saying things that are too specific to be believed. I understand that reaction. I would have had the same reaction 1 month ago. I have spent my whole career in science-based medicine. I believe in data. I believe in evidence. I believe in things that can be tested and repeated. None of what I am telling you fits into that framework, and I know it. But I also know what I saw. I know how real it was. I know that when I woke up in that hospital room and my coworker Sarah was sitting next to me crying and holding my hand, the first thing I said to her was not what happened to me. It was, Sarah, do you have family in Houston? And she looked at me like I had lost my mind. And maybe I have. But I cannot unsay what I saw. I cannot unfeel what I felt when he was showing me these things. And I would rather tell you and have you not believe me than stay quiet and have those dates pass the way he said they would pass. He showed me a fourth thing. And this one changed me in a way the others had not quite reached yet. Because the first three were disasters I could trace back to natural causes, things I understood the mechanics of, flooding and heat and infrastructure. But the fourth thing he showed me was something different. He brought my attention to a region rather than a single city this time. The middle of the country, states like Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, the places along the Mississippi River that most people do not think about as high-risk disaster zones. He showed me the new Madrid fault line. I knew about it from a general science awareness, but I had not thought deeply about it. He said that this fault line, which has been quiet for a very long time, will not be quiet much longer. June 22nd, he said, not one earthquake, a series of them, starting moderate and escalating. The kind of escalation that tells scientists something is happening, but by the time they know what it is, the worst of it has already happened. The Mississippi River itself will behave strangely. Its banks in certain areas will change. Bridges that have been standing for decades will fail. And because this region is not seen as high risk the way California is, the buildings there are not built with earthquakes in mind at all. A force that would damage but not destroy a California building will take down a Tennessee building completely. I watched the river in the vision. I watched it swell and shift. I watched bridges I did not recognize by name but could tell were important because of all the trucks and vehicles crossing them just go down. And when those bridges go down, the country splits, east and west, north and south, the routes that food travels from farms to tables, the routes that fuel travels from refineries to gas stations, the routes that medicine travels from manufacturers to hospitals. All of those routes running through the middle of the country suddenly blocked or destroyed. He said to me, people do not understand how dependent this country is on things moving from one place to another every single day. When movement stops, everything stops. And when everything stops at the same time in multiple places, the restoration of normal life does not happen in days or weeks. It happens in months, if it happens at all. I asked him the same question I had asked about the other cities. I said, what about the people who live there? What about the regular families who just have jobs and kids and mortgages and no idea any of this is coming? He said, that is why I am showing you now. Because now there is still time. The people near the fault zone who hear this, who feel the truth of it, who decide to move towards safety rather than wait for proof, they will live. Their obedience now will look like foolishness to their neighbors. But their neighbors will not be the ones who survive to call them foolish. This part was hard for me to sit with, because I know how it sounds. Move your family based on a vision that a nurse in D.C. had when her heart stopped. Sell your house, leave your job, pull your kids out of school. And go where? And do what? I understand why people will not do it. I understand why most will not do it. He understood it too. He did not seem angry about it. He seemed deeply sad. like someone who has been trying to reach a person they love and keeps finding the line is busy. Then he showed me something about the people who would leave, and this part is what I want to stay on for a little while, because it helped me understand why the warning is being given, even if most people will not listen. He showed me ordinary families, not wealthy people, not people with resources most of us do not have. Regular people, a woman who was a teacher in Memphis, who felt something shift in her spirit when she heard this kind of message, and convinced her husband that they needed to go to family in Nebraska. A young couple in the Miami suburbs who had been praying about a life change for months and heard this testimony and took it as the answer to what they had been asking for. A retired man in Houston who had been feeling uneasy about something for weeks and could not explain it, and who decided that unease was enough reason to go stay with his son in Kansas for the spring. These are my people in this season, he said. Not the ones who need overwhelming proof. The ones whose hearts are already soft enough to hear something quiet. They will be the ones who stand later and tell others what happened, and their testimony will reach people that no announcement could ever reach. He also showed me something harder. He showed me people who called themselves followers of God, but who did not move. People who heard this kind of warning, felt something real inside them when they heard it, and then talked themselves out of it. Their mortgage was too big. Their job was too good. Their kids were in the middle of the school year. Their spouse did not believe it, and every one of those reasons felt valid, and every one of those reasons cost them. He said to me, "Diana, the people who love me but love their comfort more than my instruction will face this with everyone else. I did not remove the consequences of choosing comfort over obedience. I gave them warning. I gave them time. What they do with it is their choice." I cried when he said that, not because I was angry with those people, because I understood them. I am them. I have spent my whole life making the practical choice, staying in the job that pays well, staying in the city where my mom is, staying in the apartment I can afford. I understand how the practical, comfortable thing becomes the thing you choose, even when something deep inside you is saying a different thing. He showed me one more thing before I came back, and this is the part I have hesitated the most about sharing because it is the most difficult to explain. After all the disasters, after all the dates, after everything he had shown me about what was coming physically, he told me about something that was going to come through those disasters, something that was not physical at all. He said that when people are afraid, genuinely afraid, not a little worried, but the kind of afraid that comes when your whole world has stopped working and you do not know if your family will eat tomorrow, they will accept things they would never have accepted before. They will say yes to things they would have said no to when they felt safe. And the people who understand this, the ones who understand fear and what it makes people willing to do, will use this moment. He showed me systems being set up after the disasters, digital systems, systems for tracking who has resources and who does not, systems for managing access to food and water and medicine in a situation where those things are being rationed. And he said that these systems will be presented as help. They will look like help. They will arrive with people who seem helpful, and desperate people will agree to them, because agreeing will mean eating, and not agreeing will mean the alternative. He did not use complicated words to describe what this was. He just said, whatever they offer you in exchange for your permanent agreement, do not take it. No matter how hungry you are, no matter how scared you are, no matter how reasonable the person offering it sounds, what they are asking for in return is something that cannot be given back, and once it is gone, the part of you that can hear my voice is gone with it. I do not fully understand all of what he meant by that. I am not a theologian, I am a nurse, but I understood enough to know it was serious, and I understood enough to pass it on to you the way he said it to me. He also told me about places of safety. He did not call them refuge states in those exact words, but he pointed to specific parts of the country. He pointed to places that could grow food without needing the national supply chain, places that had access to water that was not dependent on systems that could fail, places with smaller populations and stronger community connections. He specifically pointed to areas in West Virginia, parts of upstate New York that are far from the city, parts of Iowa and Wisconsin and Minnesota. Rural areas, places that people think of as having less, but which actually have the things that matter most when everything else falls apart. He said, I have people in these places already, people who have been quietly preparing without fully knowing why. When the ones who are fleeing arrive, there will be a meeting of purposes. The ones who have been preparing will finally understand what they were preparing for. And the ones who arrive will finally understand where they were supposed to be all along. I asked him why he was showing all of this to a nurse. I said with respect, I do not have a big platform. I do not have a church or a following or a way to reach millions of people. I am just a person with a phone and a story that most people will not believe. He smiled at me, and the warmth of that smile, I cannot describe it, except to say it did not feel like an answer to a question. It felt like being known, fully and completely known, including all the parts of me I was ashamed of, and still being smiled at. He said, I am not sending this through the people with the biggest platforms. I am sending it through the people whose voices reach the right ears. You do not need to convince anyone. You need to say it. You need to say it simply and honestly, and let the people who are meant to hear it, hear it. Your job is faithfulness, not persuasion. And then I woke up. I woke up in the hallway of the facility. Sarah was next to me. There were 3 other co-workers standing over me, and a defibrillator on the floor, and I was soaking wet from the sweat, and I was crying before I even understood where I was. And the first thing I said, I told you, was Sarah's name and the word Houston, and she told me later that it scared her more than anything, because in the 4 years she has known me, she said I have never once said anything that did not make practical sense. I spent a week in the hospital. I had a cardiac event caused by a previously undetected arrhythmia. The doctors put in a device. I am stable. I am not on strong medications that would explain visions. I am not under psychiatric care, and I am not being told by anyone who knows my medical history that what I experienced was the result of my treatment. I am sharing this because I know those will be the first questions people ask, and I want to answer them before they are asked. I have told my pastor. He did not dismiss me. He prayed with me for 3 hours. I have told my mother. She cried and told me she believed me because she said I have never in my life exaggerated anything. I have told my daughter, who is 16, and she sat quietly through all of it and then asked me when we were leaving D.C. That question from her was the thing that finally made me decide to record this. The dates he gave me are close. April 18th for Houston, May 29th for Miami, June 22nd for the new Madrid zone earthquakes, August 11th for Phoenix. And the thing that happens in July, the systems being offered to desperate people. That follows all of it. That is the order. That is the sequence. I am still in D.C. as I record this. I am still going to work because I cannot just abandon my patients. But I am making my plans. I've been looking at options in Wisconsin and Iowa. I've been talking to my mother about whether she is willing to move. I have been praying every morning and every night about the timing of my own departure, because I do not want to move too early, and I definitely do not want to move too late. But I also know that my own situation is not the point of this video. The point is the people watching. The point is you. And I want to talk to you directly for a minute before I close. If you are in Houston, Texas, I am asking you to take this seriously. I know you have probably heard flood warnings your whole life. I know you have probably stayed through storms before and been fine. This is different. The date I was given is April 18th. That gives you time right now to make a plan. Not to panic, not to do something rash, but to make a plan and start moving toward it. Talk to your family. Look at where you could go. Figure out what you would need, and then start doing it. Start doing it now while the roads are clear and the gas is available, and you do not have to fight 3 million other people to get out. If you are in Miami, you have a little more time, but not much. May 29th. The water that comes will not behave the way you expect it to behave. The warning from official sources will come too late for people at the back of the evacuation line. You do not want to be at the back of that line. If you have family anywhere inland, now is the time to call them. Now is the time to start having conversations about whether a temporary move is possible. If you are in the middle of the country, near the Mississippi, near Missouri, or Tennessee, or Arkansas, or Kentucky, please look up the New Madrid fault line and look up what the scientific community has said about its risk, and then understand that June 22nd is the date I was given. I am not a geologist. I cannot explain the mechanism. I'm just telling you what I saw and what I was told. If you are in Phoenix, the window for safe departure is before summer, not when the heat is already unbearable. Before it starts, before the grid is already straining. March and early April are your window, and for everyone. The thing about July, please do not let fear make your decisions for you. I know that is easy to say and hard to do when you are genuinely in a desperate situation, but whatever is offered to you in exchange for your permanent compliance, whatever system is set up that requires you to agree to something irreversible in order to access resources, please do not agree to it. Please find another way. Please find community. Please find people who are sharing what they have. There will be those people. He told me there would be those people. Lean on them and do not let fear push you towards something you cannot take back. I am a nurse. I spend my days and nights taking care of people. I take my credibility seriously. I've never before in my life gone on the internet and told people something this serious. I'm doing it now because I was told to. Because I was sent back with this specific message. Because 19 minutes of my life were spent in a place that changed every single thing I thought I understood about what is real and what matters. I do not need you to believe me. I really do not. I need you to sit with this. I need you to pay attention to the part of yourself that responds to it. I need you to ask yourself honestly whether there is something in what I am saying that feels true to you in a place deeper than your logic, because that is what he meant when he said the people who are meant to hear it will recognize it. If this reached you, I do not think it reached you by accident. Please share this with the people you care about. If you have family in Houston or Miami or anywhere near the Mississippi corridor or in Phoenix, please send this to them. You do not have to say you believe it. You can just say, I heard something and I want you to hear it too. That is enough. That is all I am asking. I am going to keep recording as things develop. I'm going to come back and talk about what I am doing in my own life to prepare. I'm going to talk about practical things, water, food, community. Because those are the things he mentioned when he talked about what the people in the safe places were already building. Those things matter. Practical preparation matters. He did not show me people sitting still and waiting for God to drop food from the sky. He showed me people doing the work of preparing while trusting in the one who told them to prepare. I do not know if I am the right person for this. I never thought it would be me sitting here recording something like this. But I am the one who was there. I am the one who saw it. And I am the one who was sent back. My name is Diana Lawson. I am a nurse. I died on February 3rd. And Jesus showed me what is coming to this country in the next several months. I have told you what I saw as clearly and as honestly as I know how to tell it. What you do with it is between you and God. But if the ground starts to sink in Houston in mid-April, I want you to remember that someone tried to tell you. I want you to remember that you had time. I want you to remember that the warning came. Please be safe. Please take care of the people around you. And please, if you have never before considered that God might be trying to reach you directly, consider it now. Because I believe he is.